This is Michel Leviathan Sorbet, and this is a new episode of Wojennik TV. I would like to invite you to take a look at our newest unboxing, which will be an unboxing of a very important game, of a game published in 2019 but already considered as one of the best war games published in the recent years. This game is Undaunted Normandy, published by Osprey Games. This game will also be published in Poland thanks to Ogry Games, and this is the reason why this unboxing is released right now. Undaunted Normandy is a game set in Normandy back in 1944. It is for 2 players. One of them will be controlling an American platoon and the second one German forces. Both players will try to accomplish missions, take control of objectives and score the maximum number of victory points. This is a deck building game, so we will be using decks of cards, but also a modular board with small parts which, constructed together, placed one next to the other, will be creating the battlefield. This game was designed by Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson. It is for 2 players. The time of play should be between 45 and 60 minutes, and it is for players aged 14 or higher, but I'm sure and certain that this game can easily be played by wargamers, and not only by wargamers, in general by players aged 10 or higher. I earlier said that this game is already considered as one of the most important designs of the recent years. This game was a nominee in the Golden Geek wargame ranking, and it was chosen as the best wargame in this ranking. So this is already a game which occupies a place in the middle of the first 100 on BoardGameGeek in the wargames section, and a game which is also nominated to the title of the best wargame published in 2019 in the prestigious Charles S. Roberts Awards. So this is a game which deserves to be presented, which deserves to be shown, and I would like to do just that. So today I invite you to take a look at the components of this game. Let's begin. Here is the box of Undaunted Normandy, a game by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin. On the box cover, as you can see, an attractive picture representing some US soldiers during battle, with also very nicely presented the title of the game and the logo of the publisher. Once more, I'd say Osprey Games. This game will be published in Poland by Ogry Games, so as I suppose on the Polish box we'll get also the logo of Ogry Games. On the back side of the box we get a description which explains us that this game is set in Normandy during World War II. We can take also a brief look at the components which are inside. We can read through the list of those components and also take a look at the basic stats concerning this game. So this will be a game which will be for players aged 14 or higher. The time of play should be from 45 to 60 minutes. It's a game for 2 players, a very confrontative game in which both sides will try to vanquish their foe. Now let's take a look at the components which are inside of this box. The first element is a leaflet with an advertising for London, the 2nd edition. Now this is a very interesting game and I have already reviewed it. If you're interested, you can find the review of this game both in English as also in Polish on our channel. On the second side, another ad, this time for the Lost Expedition. Now I have this game in my collection, but I still haven't prepared the review, so maybe this is a nice occasion, a nice invitation for me to do so. Then we get 2 booklets. The first one, as you can see with a light green cover, is the rulebook. This rulebook is printed on shining high quality paper. It's 24 pages long. It covers the components which are used inside this game. It tells us how to read the information on the cards, how to use the tokens, which will also be included in the game. Then it explains how to set up the game with also some graphic explanation. Then it explains the sequence of play. It explains the different terms used during gameplay. Then it also explains the actions available to both players. And then it has also an example round. So this is always something that I really enjoy in rule books or in scenario books, especially in war games, because some mechanics sometimes in war games are quite complicated. It's two things: one, to read the rules and to try to imagine how those mechanics described work, and the second approach is to show to the reader how those mechanics work. So I really like rule books in which those examples are included, where example rounds or even longer examples of play are presented. In such a way, it's far better to understand how those mechanics work. Then the description of how the game ends, how to construct your platoon, and also a description of the different soldiers which can be found in your which can be part of your platoon. Finally, a quick reference. The second booklet is the scenario book. This one will be a little bit longer, and it has first of all an information explaining us how to use this booklet. As you can see, we both have the scenario options and also the campaign mode. And then it also describes how to prepare some elements when starting playing, and then the scenarios. The first one is l'arrêt. As you can see, each scenario has both a description, then also the objectives of both sides, the cards used in both decks and the units which we can use during gameplay. Also a graphic example, a graphic representation of how the setup looks, with also the numbers of tiles which we have to gather before preparing the battlefield. The second scenario is Montmartin en Graigne, then ride across the canal behind enemy lines. As you can see, those scenarios are very different. Each time you'll be using different cards, you'll be creating a different battlefield, you'll have different objectives. Scenario 5, crossing the Vire or the Vire. The sixth scenario, desperate withdrawal, then La Huberderie. Scenario 8, streets of Tessy-sur-Vire. Scenario 9, reinforcements. Scenario 10, critical intelligence. The 11th is called Hill 314, and the final one is Mortain. Here, as you can see, a lot of units, a lot of cards. Finally, also scenario tables, which allow you to take notes and to write the results of your battles. If you have the same opponent each time, if you play this game with your friend, your son, your father, so if you're gathering always together to play this game, it will be a very nice addition, because having those 2 pages allows you to write the results of each battle. Maybe you can even at the end make a sum or a conclusion, maybe try to track who won most scenarios. It's maybe also a useful addition if playing the campaign mode. Then we get the counters, 2 counter sheets. The first one will have the American units, as you can see, riflemen, gunners, scouts, snipers, some additional markers, those are double-sided, as you can see, some additional ones which will be explained in the rules. Now, not a lot of things presented on those counters. The name of the unit, a shield with a number, and that's pretty it. Some letters to distinguish the different guys, because for instance we have 3 riflemen, we have 3 gunners, so we have those letters in order to distinguish all of them. The Germans, as you can see, are on the second counter sheet. with units, just as the Americans were, with also some markers. They are printed on a sturdy material, so not a big problem to punch them out. They will be of a high quality. Now the color is quite bizarre because I'm used to playing Germans represented on gray counters. Here we get some bluish counters, which is quite unusual when it comes to German representation in World War II. Then we get also 4 black 10-sided dice, which will be used during the game. A lot of terrain tiles, as you can see, a whole deck of them, with the number which will enable us to differentiate those tiles. Those are double-sided. As you can see, we have different terrain features. We have some bridges, rivers, woods, we have some grasslands, some villages, farms, crops, etc. So a lot of different terrain types, which will enable us to create very different battlefields. 2 decks of cards, one for each player, the German deck and the American deck. The American deck, as you can see, with the American star on its back. Here we have the platoon sergeant with only 2 parameters, with also a big number on the top of the card. This is Jack Sullivan, because in Undaunted Normandy you'll get a lot of different units, a lot of different soldiers. Each of them will have their own name and surname. That's a great addition. Furthermore, as you can see, you get, for instance, 3 mortar units, but each of them is represented with a different graphic, so with a different picture. I like it a lot. Even the riflemen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are totally different. Well, maybe not totally different, because they have the same posture, but as you can see, those are very different soldiers. Here we have, for instance, Robert Denton, here is Richard Johnson, here is Harold Henderson, so each of them will be unique. We get some machine gunners, squad leaders, again some riflemen from Team B, as I suppose, so we'll get maybe Team A, B and C finally, or those will be squads, riflemen, again some machine gunners, etc. In the end, we have also a certain number of fog of war cards, which will be used, as I believe, as dummy units during gameplay. And this is it when it comes to the content of the box of Undaunted Normandy. I'd like now to share with you my initial thoughts about what I have found in this box. Undaunted Normandy is a game which I really wanted to play. This was one of the most heavily played war games in 2019, and I am very eager to discover it. I still had not the opportunity to try it, so knowing that this game was voted the best war game in the Golden Geek ranking, and also that this game has big chances of becoming the best war game of 2019 in the Charles S. Roberts ballot, I want to try this game, I want to play it, and I want to see why this game is so good. This game will be published in Poland thanks to Ogry Games, so this is an additional reason why this game is presented on Wojennik TV right now. I like the artwork on the cards, I like the fact that we receive a whole lot of terrain tiles which will enable us to construct different battlefields. The diversity of the scenarios also seems interesting because we get 12 of them, which is a lot. Additionally, we get also the campaign option, so what not to like in it. I'll present this game again during a future review, and up until now I'll just grab the rulebook, take a browse through the rules, and I play my first game. This was the unboxing of Undaunted Normandy, published in 2019 by Osprey Games and which will be published in Poland by Ogry Games. Take a look at our other videos, we have some unboxings and also some reviews in English. I invite you to take also a look at our Facebook and Instagram accounts. Have a terrific day and see you next time.